it's rare to find people who just genuinely care about you, you know? Like a lot of people in this material world is like it's like superficial. They care about you just for their own immediate gain. But like once, for example, like I had a lot of friends who I used to smoke weed with. Once I stopped smoking weed, then the friendship just collapsed. It's all about this exploitation. But here I realized that they weren't trying to exploit me. It wasn't any type of exploitation. It was just pure just wanting to see me grow and develop. Hare Krishna. My name is Bhaktin Nick, and I decided to shave my head to become a monk. I got the books from Mahosa Prabhu in 2020, and that was like 3 years ago. And during law school, I was reading the books, and it really helped me, you know, because during COVID, it was really hard to maintain any peace of mind. So while I was in law school, the books kept me going. And they would joke with me, like, be a monk. I would never take it seriously, but once I really started getting into the philosophy, I realized, what really is there in this world besides, association devotees, in the holy name. So I shaved my head, surrender to Krishna, and, join the Vaishnav cult.
What was your experience like when you first came in and like hearing about the philosophy and what you went through and reading about mental instruction?
Oh yeah. So I mean, actually, when I first read the book, it didn't. I actually was into it until I read something that it said like the Vaishnavas don't smoke marijuana, but I had a concocted theory that smoking weed was spiritual. So it took me after I joined I read the book first. I didn't resonate with that principle, but then when I came to the first program, it was like the atmosphere was just saturated with spiritual bliss, and I quickly understood why they said you don't need marijuana, because I was like literally that first time I met them with that Sunday program, I was feeling some type of spiritual ecstasy. So yeah, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, I don't know the whole verse. It's like Vishayavini Vartante, like without a higher taste, you can't give up your lower taste. So like Krishna just gave me like a whole bunch of nectar in the beginning, and I always remember that. So
What was your experience like reading that, and then what did you do when you read that? You can describe that.
when I read the book,
Yeah.
I threw the book down. I read it like right. It's in nectar instruction, and like I think it's in the first verse. Yeah, it's saying that devotees they abstain from intoxication, gambling, and like LSD and stuff like this. And yeah, once I read it, I just stopped reading automatically. I'm done with this. I'm not about to read this. But then I got a text message from a host who invited me to the Sunday program, and something inspired me to come. So thankfully, I went. It changed my life.
So what happened after that?
Yeah, after that, I went to DC.
What were you studying at the time?
Oh, so like I said, I just graduated from Morehouse. So
Like you graduated from Morehouse?
yeah, I graduated from Morehouse in 2020, and I was just like I was in Piedmont Park with my girlfriend, and I remember I was studying Buddhism at the time. I was studying Buddhism. I thought my host group was a Buddhist.
You're studying Buddhism on your own, or?
Yeah. So actually, I was getting into like Eastern philosophy. It's funny because in our library at Morehouse, the only book in Eastern philosophy was this Buddhist book. So actually, when I met Mahosa, I actually asked him, "Is this your Shanga?" Like I already knew like certain like Vedic terms.
Okay.
I actually knew some Vedic terms and like karma. I knew about karma, reincarnation, all that. But of course, I didn't know about like like the four regular principles and chanting the holy name. But anyways, like I said, after I met them, it really just transformed my outlook on life. Like we're so conditioned to think that life is meant for our enjoyment. But this is the first time I ever heard, like through Krishna conscious philosophy, that life is meant for the service of God. I grew up Christian, so I never really. I know you hear it in church, but they don't really live by it. Like seeing the devotees, seeing the monks live by the principle of serving God every single day from 4:30 in the morning, it's like really inspiring. I've never met a group of young men who were like so devoted to serving God, and it's like I said, I just wanted to be around others who are also righteous. So
Then like, what did you do after 2020? You decided to go to grad school.
yeah. So like I said, I was already on the way to law
I
school.
mean, like trying to practice Christian consciousness.
Oh, it was horrible. Like the thing is, I was reading all the books. I actually read all the way up to the 10th canto in through my tenure in law school, but I was reading so much because I had no association. I didn't like trying to practice Christian conscience without association is trying to light a fire without a match, because it's like you can have you can have a match, but without the fire, it's not nothing's gonna spark. So I was I was reading and I had a good concept of Christian conscience, but because I didn't have association, I was suffering. So that's what actually really made me want to inspire me to become a monk after law school, because um, I just realized the value of good association. So I'm really blessed to be around other people who are like-minded, around the same age, who are willing to devote their lives, surrender their lives to Krishna. So,
Like through those 3 years, what did that struggle? What was that struggle?
oh man, like the thing.
What was your daily struggle? Like what? Like what about chanting? How many rounds did you chant?
I was actually it's funny because I was thinking about this the other day. Like 2 months after I got the books, actually, one day I was like, I'm just gonna chant 16 rounds. And I remember,
Once after you got the book,
yeah.
after you came,
After
you came to this program.
after I came to the program, so that was like maybe 3, 4 months after I got the books. So, anyways, I was by myself, and then I was just like, you know what? Let me just chant 16 rounds. Let me see how I feel. And I remember chanting those 16 rounds, and I've never felt so blissful in my life. So,
How many people did it take you to chant it?
but so I did it at one time, and then it took me maybe like 3 more months to do it consistently. I would chant. I took their advice. They saying just chant it, fix them around. So I would chant like I started off like 2 rounds, and then the next week I would do 3. The next week I would do 4, and then I kind of reached the ceiling. I was just doing 8 rounds a day for like maybe like 5, 6 months. And then, but the thing is, I would come to Atlanta quite often because I'm from Atlanta. And every time I came to Atlanta, they would inspire me to, chant more rounds, chant more rounds. So about my last year in law school, I was finally chanting 16 rounds every day. I was waking up, not from long RG, but I was waking up around 5:30, 6 o'clock. I was waking up like 5:30. So the biggest struggle though, like I said before, was, giving up bad association without having good association. So like when you give up bad association without any good association, it's like I remember Chandra that said it's like you're in the Brahma Jyoti. You're like in this impersonal. It's like I felt like I was in this impersonal what's the word for it? This impersonal medium where it's like I was chanting Hare Krishna, I was following the 4 rays, I was waking up early, but I had no association, so it was really tough. It was really a struggle. But I mean, the struggle made me strong. Actually, it made me really want to become more fixed in Christian consciousness.
So like tell them about your experience with smoking and
Oh man, yeah. So actually, I had some weird like ideas of Christian consciousness. Like when I first started, I would actually wake up at 4:30, like smoke some weed, and then like listen to some kirtan and try to chant. And I thought I was like some advanced yogi, like wow, like I figured it out, I can like smoke weed and also chant and still like make advancement. Yeah, it's just some illusion. But anyways, nobody was in DC was telling me that's wrong. Like I wasn't getting the best advice when I was in DC. But when I came to Atlanta, they were telling me that that's not the proper, attitude. You shouldn't do that. So
how did you get over that? I mean,
it took me 2 years to get over it. I remember one time.
you're doing that for 2 years?
Yeah.
You're doing that for 2 years?
I was doing that for 2 years.
Oh my god! I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
Yeah. It wasn't until like after Europe, like my 3rd year. It wasn't until after Europe that I stopped doing that because, like I said, I just got a really high dose of nectar. I traveled with them to Europe, before my last year of law school, and after that I was like fixed. I was like I wasn't going out. I wasn't smoking. I wasn't drinking. But anyways, how I got over that actually though, I remember I smoked one time and I was suffering like anything. I remember just going to the temple because I had no other solace. I remember praying to Krishna. I just remember like, Krishna, please, like, help me stop smoking weed. Like, I really want to stop, but it was really hard because I had an addiction to it actually. So, I mean, it didn't happen overnight, but yeah, of course, you pray to Krishna, he will fulfill your desires. So I just prayed to Krishna, and eventually I didn't have the desire to do it anymore.
Mm. And then so, what did you do after the Europe trip?
Oh yeah, after Europe, like I said, I pretty much secluded myself. Like I would go, like I said, I would wake up early. I would chant my japa. I would go to school and I would come home and not talk to anybody because the thing is, like, all my classmates were materialists, and I realized that, like, the more I associated with them, the more actually I was gonna be inclined to, like, have illicit sex and intoxicate myself. So it was like, um, oh, but also it was funny though because it was like I wasn't getting no love from school, and actually the temple in DC, it was like it's a ISKCON center, but it was a lot of Hindus. So like even it was like a language barrier. So I would go to the temple, I wouldn't get no love from the temple either. So it was like suffering. I'm like, I'm not getting love in law school. I'm not getting love in the temple. So like what I would do was I would just come to Atlanta and hang around the brahmacharis, the monks here, because they always showed me love. It's rare to find people who just genuinely care about you. Like a lot of people in this material world is like, it's like superficial. They care about you just for their own immediate gain. But like once, for example, like I had a lot of friends who I used to smoke weed with. Once I stopped smoking weed, then the friendship just collapsed. It's all about this exploitation. But here I realized that they weren't trying to exploit me. It wasn't any type of exploitation. It was just pure, just wanting to see me grow and develop. And it's crazy because like I had so many fall downs in that 3-year interim. However, like, and then, Mahosa Prabhu knew, and he, no matter what, he always would text me, and even Chanda in my last year, he would call me like maybe 3 times a week. So it's like, finding people, even though you're messing up, even though you're not falling, they're still there for you. Like, you just realize that like real friendship is based on the spiritual platform. Like I never had any friends like this. So yeah, I'm just blessed to be able to, have good association with devotees.
And then, like, what did you just go through? You finished up, and so how did you kind of finish up?
Yeah. So like I did. So the thing with law is like after you finish law school 3 years, you get a degree called your Juris Doctorate. However, you can't practice law until you take the bar exam. So I completed my JD in 3 years. That's another thing. When I came to law school, I was the youngest person in my class, actually. I was 22 when I came to law school. I graduated, I was 25. Okay, I was one of the youngest people in my class, actually. Yeah, I was one of the youngest people in my class. So actually, I'm gonna come back full circle. So anyways, when I came to law school, actually, I've always been like the smartest guy in my class. Like when I was in Morehouse, I was a person who would just show up to class, not really study and get straight A's. Even in high school, I was always like a pretty, A, B student. But when I came to the monastery, I realized I'm like not smart at all. Like it's crazy, because it's like it's stories people say, oh, they go to law school and they feel like it's intimidated because people are more smarter than them. I never felt like that. Although I was the youngest person in the class, I actually got voted in my class. Like it's called like the gunner, pretty much like the person who like was always on top of it. And I was the youngest person in my class. But however, when I came to the monastery, I realized I wasn't smart at all. Like the brahmacharis, they're like quoting all these slokas. They're like expert music. They're expert cooks. And I was just like, wow, this is my first time I've ever felt like I wasn't smart, and I kind of liked that because they challenged me. But anyways, after I graduated law school, I got my JD. I had to study for my bar exam, and what they would do was they got me a room upstairs in the monastery, so I would do the morning program with them, and I would study for like 7 hours a day, sometimes 10, for my bar exam, because they encouraged me. Although I'm being a monk, they're practical. They didn't tell me just to renounce everything. Although I have a law degree, they saying I could use that degree for the service of Krishna, for the service of God. So they encouraged me to help. I studied for like 8 hours, grinded. I took my tests, and like now that was like last week. So now, full-time monk. Now I can now I can learn some more. I still feel stupid. It's crazy. After taking a bar exam, I still feel like I don't know anything. Because the thing is, I didn't realize that spiritual knowledge, it just trumps anything material. In my mind, I was thinking, oh, I'm a lawyer. I'm like the smartest guy here, but I'm not. So, just being in an environment where I feel constantly challenged to grow is very rare and unique. Anybody who's like seeking to grow, come to a brahmacharya ashram.